Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. It is a spin-off of the website and book review site of Amy's Bookshelf Reviews. Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast is about book reviews, a writer's muse, a book's peruse, author interviews, and literary news. Welcome to the new year, where new things may happen with this. I hope you all enjoy, and thank you for listening. Hi, welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. And there's something I wanted to discuss for this episode. Now that the episodes are twice a month instead of 4 times a month, it's making my life a little bit easier. One of the things that I brought back and moving forward with 2025 is an old concept that I had, and I thought I would revise it. So I'm calling it, and as it was called in the past, Flashback Fridays. I am reinstating the Flashback Fridays, and it is hashtag Flashback Fridays, where reviews were posted in the past will be reposted, and then in a new format of how I have created. Over the years, the way I've written reviews, I have a specific format, and it's changed over the years, and it may change again, but the gist of it is that it is important to get the review out, say what's on my mind, and also when I write the reviews, I am writing for about the characters, the author's writing style, the development of the characters, the development and the interaction of its environment. If things go too fast or too slow, that really depends on the story genre. Some stories genre requires a fast, action-packed book, while others, like romances and things like in that kind of category, you might want to slow the pace down a little bit more. Don't get caught up in backstories, but make sure the backstories are there, and you don't have to tell the backstory all at once. When you write your book description, make sure you are not telling every little piece of the book, because what's the point of somebody reading the book if they already know everything that's going to happen by just reading the book description? So make sure you are careful with that. And going back to the Flashback Fridays concept is, it's something that I do myself is I go back through the books I have written over the years, and I've been publishing my books in various ways since 2005. And back then, the technology is not what we have today. But authors always want to promote the book that they have out now. If it's part of a series, when you do your promotion, promote your new book, but also promote the other books that came before in the series, unless obviously it's a new series and you're on book 1. Another tidbit that I wanted to share is that if you say, this is this book series and this is book 1, make sure there's going to be at least a book 2. I have seen a lot, and it says, oh yeah, book 1, and there's never a sequel. So my recommendation is, when you post a first book, you can name a series. Don't say it's book 1, but you can always update it if you end up having a book 2. So Flashback Fridays is a way to promote books that you have written in the past. Some might not think about it. Some may have written a book 20 years ago, and, it's been updated or has several printings, or maybe it doesn't have that and it should. You can go back and change something. You don't have to change the story. If the story is written as perfect as it is, maybe you want to update the color slightly of the cover. Just make it a little bit bold, more appealing. And then promote that book. And you don't have to say it came from, 1953, just that you are sharing that book. I mean, how many classic books do we read now that were written hundreds of years ago? So we're kind of, with the Flashback Fridays, is kind of reminding people that these specific books were written. I'm going all the way back to 2014 to up to 2024, just so that... and I am selecting random authors, and then I will be going to those authors' books, and deciding which I should be using for that particular Flashback Friday, and they will run every Friday, and we'll see how that goes. Also, if you wish to have your book as part of Flashback Friday, it must have been read, reviewed, and the review posted between 2014, when I first started this whole thing, until now. 2025 is marking my 11th year doing Amy's Bookshelf reviews, and I may have slowed down, but I still have the momentum to keep reading and keep writing reviews. And I feel that I'm saying the word review a lot. I also hope that when you get the emails, that if you have subscribed to my website, if you haven't, you can go to the bottom of the homepage and just type in your email address, and you will get notifications from my email campaigns and my blog post. They don't run every day. They run, the blog post runs maybe every 2 days. You'll get a couple of the blog post. I had some requests that they don't get sent every single day or every time I post a review, but, kind of like in a bulk email type of thing. So that seems to be working so far, but sometimes I have noticed that people who are subscribed are missing out on some notifications or announcements. And that is really, that's an important part of the process, because I not only post my reviews, I promote authors through my blog posts and email campaigns. I also do the Amy's Picks of the Month email campaign, the release dates for the month email campaign. That information is also on my homepage. There was a little known and featured book of the month page on my website that's been there for years, and I think that only the author that I tell their book is there is the one who ends up knowing about it. So I have decided to, starting in January, that will also be an email campaign, and it will, it's on its page. It's called Book of the Month. If you go to the navigational menu on amysbookshelfreviews.com. I am tired, and I am a little bit slower, but I will be doing the best that I can. And I'm trying to do new things, and also help authors, promote what they work on now and in the future, but also don't forget about what you've written in the past. Sometimes you might go back and think, oh, I could add a backstory, a separate book, a prequel, or a sequel. And they don't even have to be full-length novels. They could be short stories or novellas. Also, if you are going from short stories to full-length novels, trying that out, something new. It's always good to keep your writing fresh. Challenge yourself as you are a writer. I do that, and I learn a lot as I read everyone's work. And I really enjoy learning new things. I learn not just about new characters and authors' imaginations, and we don't have to know how our imaginations work, just that they do, and whatever our outlet is, and it could be writing, it could be art, it could be both. And also, it's also finding your purpose. I've known authors that have had a dramatic change in genre because they feel that they have written all they could of one and they are working on another one, and maybe it's something that is more personal to themselves. Sometimes things happen and they affect our life, and they are not just affecting our lives, they are affecting our work. So, with going back to Flashback Fridays, it's kind of interesting. I will add, when I select the book, first I have to make sure it's still published and can be purchased. It's still there. Also, that I will, instead of just the review, as I have started doing since I think November, is including the book description in the same blog post with the review. And I hope that kind of, not just tells the audience what I think about it, but what the book is actually about. And maybe they will want to read it based on either paragraph or both or whatever. So that is very interesting to see how that goes. I've had no complaints, so that's always good. Sometimes people don't tell me something, and it would be very helpful if you see something, a new policy, or there's something that you can't read on my website, or you don't understand. Please feel free to contact me, amysbookshelfreviews@gmail.com. You can go to my contact forms and send a question that way. Anytime you have a comment, just email me. Many people will reply to the email campaigns, and I do get emails that way. I prefer not to, but whatever works for the author. So I would just, if you see something on my site that you don't understand, say something. I also do, promotions, and that's what this Flashback Fridays is about. It's, letting people know, hey, this book is still there. Maybe you've started reading for this author, or you haven't started reading. And sometimes reading early on books of an author, you kind of decide whether do I want to read the next book of this author or not. And sometimes you get new favorite authors. Every time I read one, I get another new favorite author. So I don't play favoritism. I don't plan, I've read this book and it's always written very well, so I just automatically assume this is a good book. I believe in the author's writing ability, so I speculate that the book is going to be interesting, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be as good as ones they've written in the past. But usually a writer evolves and doesn't devolve in their storytelling unless there is something going on, and a lot of times you can tell that in their writing. When I read an author's work, I can feel their passion as they put the words on paper. And it's just something that I've always been able to do. So you can tell if somebody is just basically phoning it in, or writing because where they're looking more for technique than plots and character development, things like that. So I find that very interesting. My next episode coming up, I wanted to discuss the inclusion of the artificial intelligence program. I have some. I think there are good parts of AI, and I think there are parts that are not good. But also, I think that if an author is writing, it should come from them. I must say that there are times when I'm trying to write, I'm looking at my old book descriptions and wondering maybe it should be worded better. So I will use either a grammar tool or an AI tool that I have, and see if they can word it better than I can. And sometimes I use a mixture of both. Sometimes I don't use the AI at all, but also sometimes it's written it better. So my next podcast will kind of go into writing and technology and things like that. So if you have some thoughts about that, when the podcast goes live in 2 weeks, you'll be able to comment. Also, something I wanted to add too, that this year, not only is this podcast remaining on Spotify, but it also is streaming to my YouTube channel. And if you go to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews, you can go to featured videos, and it will link you to my YouTube channel. Also, if you go to the podcast section, it will also link you to my YouTube channel. My first episode for Sit Down with Amy Shannon, by the time you are listening to this, has already aired, but I have not aired it yet, so that is something that is new, and I want to be able to interact more with writers and authors and publishers and things like that. I'm also adding that feature to be interviewed on this podcast, and also, that can also relate to and be connected to an interview with Literally Magazine. I've made some changes so I could keep the podcast running and I could keep the magazine going, because I had a lot of good feedback when I asked for it. Not everybody gives feedback, but when they do, I listen and see if there's something that I can do. I don't want to take away from something that someone enjoys, and if what I can do can help somebody, or just let people know that I've been there. I've been writing all my life. I've been telling stories since I could talk, and I've been through various publishing processes. The technology over the last 20 years has changed. But some parts have not changed when you're listening to certain phrases and fragments, But now it's like I am still committed to the indie author community. I will also help when I can, and for a small fee. All my fees are based off of the author's budget, and I do have a minimum depending on what I'm doing for them. But if you're looking for an agent, you think your book is good enough to have an agent represent you. If you're interested in looking for a new publisher, the current one that you have is not working out for you, I can help you with research and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that I can do for you, And if there's something you ask me and I can't do it, I will see if I can find someone who can do it for you. I know how it is to live on a very, very slim budget. And when we're living on that, we're doing our best to keep things going, paying our bills, but also promoting our book in ways that we don't have to shell out a lot of money just to do it. Social media is a great way to get your book out, but you actually have to start gaining an audience. You want people to, just because you share on social media, if you don't have any followers, who the heck's going to see it? So you want to build that up. You can build that up in various ways. So I do hope that the promotions, the free ones that I offer with the blog posts and the Flashback Fridays and the updates to various titles that will be, starting being posted on my Amy's Bookshelf Reviews blog. And you can share it with the hashtag ABSR, which is Amy's Bookshelf Reviews, and it will also have the hashtag Flashback Fridays. Of course, it would be posted on my X account, and it will also be shared on my Facebook account. The review will only be posted on my blog. Now, if you had redid your book, and you see that it's on a Flashback Friday, and there has been some changes, or the links to your book has changed, or you redid it completely and you need a review that I've done for you reposted, I can always do that. Just let me know. Also, a lot of my selections will be from even though up to various, I was going to do it until September of 2022, because that is when I switched over to my own domain from the free Wix.com site domain. But, I'm going to see what I come up with and try to get the book reviews that were from the old blog kind of recopied over and maybe tweaked a little. Anyways, I want to thank you for listening, and I want to thank those people that have told me to keep this podcast up and running. I know it's a lot of talking, but if you are interested in being interviewed, or you want me to talk about your book, so you just want your book to be on the show, if you are an author, you're an agent, you're a publisher, I would love to interview you, and we could work something out based off our schedules. And all podcasts are pre-recorded, and then I upload them and schedule them to run. So I would be able to provide you the link as soon as it has been uploaded, and let you know which date it's going to run. You also have the ability to add a 10-second advertisement, audio only, about you or your book. So if you check out the podcast page, you'll be able to find more information. So thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews. If you are looking to be on the podcast or looking for a book review, you can go to amysbookshelfreviews.com and look for the appropriate navigational menu. Again, thank you all for listening and being a supporter of this podcast and of the Amy's Bookshelf Reviews, professional reviewers of books and audiobooks. Thank you all. Be safe and be well.